Did you ever wondered why the Singapore Grand Prix is one of the most, if not the most difficult place to drive? There are good reasons why the drivers hate this track so much. Let's dive in and let the sparks fly. The Singapore Grand Prix has returned since 2008 under a new guise to the calendar and gifted us dear viewers the very first Formula 1 race under the night sky, as well as an uncountable number of sparks ignited by the titanium skids scraping over the uneven surface. The brightly illuminated 4.9 kilometers long track placed in the Marina Bay area stands clearly out from the Singaporean city skyline in the backdrop. A track proudly framed by two landmarks of the city. The Singapore Flyer is the third highest Ferris wheel, and the Marina Bay Sands Resort features the highest infinity pool in the world, a place from which you can observe the race while enjoying a swim, considering you have the necessary pocket change. However, the drivers won't have the time to glance at this spectacular venue during the race. And also, please leave a like and a sub, this would help us a lot, and of course also our channel. The 19 corners, mostly consisting of 19-degree turns, will occupy them to their fullest. The track offers nearly no runoff areas and no long straights to take a breather. So, the 20 drivers need all their focus to balance their cars on the knife's edge without touching the close walls for 2 hours. A task made even more challenging by the difficult environmental conditions. The temperature doesn't fall below 25 degrees even in the night, and the humidity doesn't drop below 80%. Conditions are far from optimal for a sport competition, and even less so when approaching corners millimeters away from a concrete wall at 300 km per hour. No wonder that drivers labeled the race as one of the toughest of the year. This year's layout will make it a bit easier for them at least. 3 corners are temporarily deleted to allow the construction of a new square in the area. So, the section has been replaced with a straight, cutting around 200 meters of track length and decreasing lap time by several seconds. As such, 2 additional laps will be added to a total of 63, or we might approach the 2-hour race time limit again. The track itself also challenges the engineers and cars. The short time between braking zones and high temperature demands large cooling ducts to prevent the brakes from overheating. The sensors on the cars have to be replaced because the steel beams below the street surface can interfere with the regular ones and lead to electronical problems. And the suspension setup has to be a compromise between going easy on the back of the driver on the bumpy track and stiff enough to support the high downforce necessary for the Monaco-like track. At least the notorious slingshot chicane turn 10 has already been revised in 2013. A corner that had high curbs acting more like a ski jump ramp rather than as track's limits. Curbs that had led to spectacular flying sessions breaking car and driver. No wonder they said that it was like driving over turtles. Even though I don't want to know how they know how it feels like to drive over a turtle. The track is still a quite young member of the standard calendar, but already had its fair share of stories to tell. The very first Grand Prix was won by Fernando Alonso, a trophy tainted by the scandal around his teammate Nelson Piquet Jr., who deliberately crashed and caused a safety car to hand the win over to Alonso. A controversy that resurfaces as of late again after Vice Champion of the Year Felipe Massa wants the result to be removed in court and with it win the world title 15 years later in front of a judge. After 9 years, the race started under wet track conditions and immediately became the scene of a spectacular start crash involving no less than 4 world champions. Sebastian Vettel, who battled Lewis Hamilton for the year's champion title, Kimi Räikkönen as his teammate at Ferrari, the upcoming champion of 2021 and 2022 Max Verstappen, and the this time innocent past champion Fernando Alonso. Just 1 year later, we could witness a magical qualifying pole lap that will go down in history as one of the best. A masterfully executed perfect lap of Lewis Hamilton granting him the pole position and equaled the one of his great idol Ayrton Senna in Monaco, driven exactly 30 years before. Predicting the future is always a difficult task, but this time we will be very bold and lean out of the window to say that it is very likely for Max Verstappen to add another victory to this winning strike. The remaining places on the podium, on the other hand, will be fiercely fought for between Mercedes, Aston Martin and Ferrari. each of which had ups and downs and blunders shown so far. Regardless, some things will be certain. The drivers will be physically and mentally exhausted after the race, several kilograms lighter due to the loss of water, and there will be many sparks that glimmer into the brightly light night.